Um, Hello. If you have not seen my About Me video, then you're not gonna understand why I will be talking about beginning sequence of Superman. Anyway, anybody that is out there or spiritual or don't want to hear anything of perversion, because we're dealing with male alpha Superman, so there will be some uh, sexual uh, explaining. Anyway, my first topic will be a infamous Superman prison, the Phantom Zone. As you can see, this picture right here, everybody knows about what they're in a glass. Anyway, this is a prison of most superficial prison of a superior being. Although they are in a glass, but you could see that they are still alive. So I am gonna try to explain best as I can, give you an example, a simulation of what it's like to be in this configuration. Like they're in a glass and he is alive, breathing. So first I am gonna have to explain man's or criminals imprisonment, the punishment. What is it about prison that is so hard for criminals? Although they committed a crime, but they also don't want to be in prison. Although there are many kinds of prisons out there, but there are different countries has different kinds of punishment to the level of degree of mental torture. Although the Westerners or Western Hemisphere prison system, you hear about being hard to deal with. Unfortunately to say, compared to other impoverished nation prison system, Western Hemisphere prison system is like a heaven. In fact, some of the immigrants that are detained as an illegal uh, 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 illegal individuals, they rather stay in prison, Western Hemisphere, rather than go back to their native country of impoverished nation. Probably because they have children and they don't want to be responsible, basically like a deadbeat dad. They rather be in a prison and be well taken care of in their daily necessities than to go back to their native country and be responsible for however many children. I mean, men think like that. Some of them actually like being in prison. So while there are many, or the society sees the prison system as a punishment, but actual fact is, some people rather stay in there than to face the reality of the world of responsibilities. So nevertheless, every nation has a different punishment. Although there is a punishment for criminal acts, but the mental torture is different. So while the Western Hemisphere prison system, they complain about certain particular things, they can't do this and they can't do that. In the impoverished nations, you're fighting just to get a good night's sleep because they're packed like sardines because of overpopulation and they don't have the resource like the Western Hemisphere. So as I am going to explain about the ultimate punishment of Superman or super villains, as you see here. They're in a glass and they're like trapped in there. I am gonna do my best to explain to you in a human condition form what it would be like to be in this kind of predicament of isolation. So basically I have these blocks. Imagine this box like a one-man tank, like arm length, and the pretty much a single cell prison system. And imagine this person as a supervillain who is in prison. Now, this is a cage. The top is open. Let the oxygen through. The most important thing is this. He is in this single cell and he is standing. He's not lying, he's standing. He's standing on like a pole here. And over here, there's a machine, like a robot, that goes back and forth as a guard. And within this machine, there's all kinds of apparatuses, feeding system to triggering certain shock if he's asleep or he's not paying attention. So basically it's a wire and with the machine. So he's tight, he is in a standing position, hands behind, naked, and I'll tell you why he is naked. And the shackles that he has on cannot be broken. He is a supervillain. So the material they bind him with, bind his hands behind, and his legs are bound with special kind of like a graphite material, unbreakable chains like. So he's always in a standing. He can't lay down. He can go to sleep at a certain time, like 9:30 p.m., and then he would have to wake up. But he has to go to sleep standing up. He can never lay down. And right here, he has a wall. Now this is too big, but imagine this is a wall. He's always facing this wall. On this wall, he has a clock. It is a second clock, second, and not minute, not hour, a second. So his time in the movie, it says like 40 light years or whatever. That means 40, basically say like a 40 lifetime. He has to do a 40 lifetime in this position. So to remind him how much time, to give him the mental torture, he has a clock right here in seconds. So imagine, he has like one lifetime of in seconds. They're talking about millions and billions and maybe seconds. 40 of them he has to complete. So it's ticking. He's looking at that clock. It is counting down by seconds within the number system of like billions of seconds. He is aware of it every second of the day. And while that is there, and also this is the most important, he has a video of like a sexual pornography, and I'll tell you why that is, why it is very significant. Not only does he have a billions and billions of seconds going down like a clock, 40 of them lined up that he has to complete, but he has a video image of a pornography, like a XXX. Now I'm not talking about whips and chains and all these gadgets, but as a man, alpha man, he craves, besides the freedom, besides all the penitentiary privileges, like going for buying snacks, or he has the freedom to watch TV. Besides all these things that he is restricted to ever be given opportunity to release. And what this sexual video does is constantly remind him that he can never, never obtain it. He is going to die slowly, knowing that he can never have that kind of pleasure and desire that all alpha male. Now you may think that is crazy. Why would that? I will explain to you why that sexual pleasuring video is more excruciating pain to endure for a man, for an ultimate alpha man, than anything of, or you can't watch TV, you can't have a headphone, or you can't go to the shop to buy snacks. I'm going to tell you why it is more excruciating to be constantly in a tied up position, naked, and watching the time clock, and also the XXX pornography of most beautiful woman that you could ever imagine, acting in a most pleasurable sexual acts, that he is just constantly watching it. Yet in the meantime, his body is triggered with this never-ending, excruciating desire of man's ultimate pleasure. So you may think, well, that is crazy, man. He is a super villain. He is an ultimate alpha male. His ultimate pleasures in life as a man, alpha male, is a female specimens. And you're talking about a man's ultimate needs. And there are times, as you see in news every day, how many great men in great position are brought down because of their sexual perversions. I don't know how many of you guys watch Jim Henson, the Catching the Predator, where he many kinds of undercover agents try to catch pedophiles. These guys range from priests, doctors, teachers, you name any kind of profession. These guys would travel miles, 3-hour drive from the next town, even, just to have an opportunity to release their sexual urges. And what causes them is mostly because of their secret lifestyle, especially through technology. The imagery of a woman, it's bad enough the women are walking around, but when in their private life they have this computer system, even a handful, that I don't know what they are thinking, but they're constantly taking pictures and they're constantly watching very provocative things that triggers them to act illogically. When a man acts upon his impulses of perversions, sexual perversion, it has nothing to do with his character. I mean, he may help the homeless, he may feed the homeless, he may, if he needed some few change for the bus, he may give it to you. These men are that type of guy. You're talking about every noble profession. And how often do you hear about Catholic priests or any other priests, pastors, that have been caught up in their sexual perversions and then their whole life is shattered? When these men, their whole life, they have been striving to become. And that one act of illogical thinking, because of the the urge, the itch that they cannot deny. However, they may have prevented it, but the fact that they have a visual image of it in their computer, in their handphone, whatever they do, in their side activity, it's because they have been indulging themselves in websites of pornography that triggered. So when you see this ultimate man bound up like this, 40-year lifetime, each second is here watching it. He knows how much time he has. And as he look at the pleasure senses of ultimate man's greatest need, it will be more damaging within his internal pain of never having it, that he is going to die knowing that he could never fulfill his urges. And not only that, he could never die. He must be maintained alive. So that's why he's naked, that he don't get to make some kind of rope and commit suicide. And then they have a feed. He will eat 3 meals a day, like a tofu and rice, like a bowl of rice. Half of it is tofu and half of it rice. No spice or nothing, just plain. And if he refuses to eat, this machine, it will have a tube. It will force open his mouth and it will feed it. This is 3 times a day. Each meal with enough juice, like a glass of water. Because you want him to stay alive. You do not want him to die. You want him to feel every second of the pain of existence, in with not having to fulfill the pleasure and looking at every second of 40-year lifetime that he has to endure. And he could only sleep standing up from 9:30 until like 5. If he tries to sleep any time before his sleeping time, this machine, 1, either it will shock it to awaken, 2, it will create some kind of like a water freeze to trigger his body to shock. Many mechanisms. And he's going to shower too. So this machine goes back and forth like a guard. And it does everything in a daily cleansing. He just throws some water over him. The nose opener just a couple of times a week. Basically, he is this entrapment. He is standing up. He can sleep, but he must sleep standing up. There's no noise. All he hears is this machine going back and forth. There's no light. There's no visitation. There's nothing. Because while humans sees the ultimate punishment in a Western world, the death row inmates, where they are kept in a special tank 24 hours, but they still get to shower, they still get 1 hour rest, they get 3 meals of tasty food, they get to watch TV, they get to go to commissary, they get to receive letters. This is a death row inmate. This is the kind of pleasures that they still have access to. But a supervillain, you're alive. You must stay alive. But you'll be forever. You will stay alive until your body ages and just dies from aging of the cell. So, as I am explaining this, and you may not understand the excruciating death of excruciating pain, because I could deal with it. Man will think illogically, and they will destroy their life, because within themselves they have triggered a beast, and they triggered the beast because of the visual effect. If they didn't have computers, if they didn't have a handphone, if they didn't stay around many females in whatever places, it would be easier to withstand the man's needs. But when you are constantly reminded in most aggressive style within certain confinement, you just could not understand the pain and the excruciating and mental to physical torture. In prison, although it may be difficult, even death row inmates, there will be time in which to obtain sexual pleasures. I mean, it may be very difficult, but they have a mobility. Eventually, they could obtain it. This way, he can never. So, I mean, you may think this is weird, but as a philosopher, there's nobody else who could explain or give the greatest of simulation or example what it's like to be in this position. So, for now, that will be end for today. Okay. Oh.